What's up, everybody? So today we're going to go through a prep update. We're currently at about, I think, eight and a half weeks, 8 weeks and 4 days to be exact, out from my first show I'll be doing this year, the East Coast Cup in Connecticut. So we're just going to get into kind of where I'm at, how things are going, what I'm currently doing for diet, what I'm currently doing for training, PEDs, and kind of show you a little bit of my progress photos, and kind of what the game plan is from now into the show. Lots changed since I spoke with you guys last. I think we did what, like a 12-week update last time. So we'll get into where I'm at right now very shortly and go from there. All right. So we are currently 8.5 weeks out. But before we get into the prep update, just want to give a shout out to First Attachment, our supplement team. It's been so good to us since they revamped the brand maybe a year and a half ago. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, but First Attachment's been my go-to for supplements, and Jackie as well. I'm just going to put their code right up here, their website and my code. If you guys would like to support us, give a shot, give a try to some of their supplements. My favorite go-to is their Field Rations intra-workout. So their intra-workout shakes got 10 grams of amino acids, essential amino acids, and 25 grams of carbohydrates as well. And it tastes excellent. They've got a electrolyte blend in there to help as well. Just great product. Also their glucose disposal agent. The Suppressor Max is something that I will always have in my stack, regardless of off season or show prep. Really is a great product. It really helps usher all the glucose from the carb cycling, the heavy carb days I take, and helps get that blood sugar turning into glycogen stores in my muscles so I can have force production. Really helps in the off season when the carbs get high, food gets high, calories and everything's just really redlining up high. Helps me kind of keep a clean physique, helps usher all the food to where it needs to go. So that way we don't have to kind of use insulin or metformin if needed. So we kind of reserve those things for the next step, the next level of defense to getting glucose out of my blood and into the muscle as glycogen where it needs to go. So give them a try. If you guys got any questions about it, reach right out. Code Bluecollar10 will save you money at checkout. Also, quick shout out to a great company called I Love Papa Bear. It's churro butter. It's pecan nut butter. We have fallen in love with this brand. Guy, sister Nino kind of had spoke about it. We thought it sounded great, and we checked it out. They've got a regular pecan nut butter, which is awesome. They have also a chunky version, which I like as well. But probably my favorite is they have a chocolate pretzel version, which is just phenomenal. So it's a little different from peanut butter, or almond butter, or cashew butter. So give them a try. I will put up their website here as well. And our code is Bluecollar10 if you want to save some money at checkout and support us and support them. So, but let's get into the fun stuff. So where are we at now? 8.5 weeks out. I'm feeling great. I think I'm looking pretty good. I know that I am well ahead of the game at this point. I feel like I'm probably 3 weeks out condition at this point from kind of the visuals. Also kind of the way I feel. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting super lean. Estrogen's kind of feeling a little bit suppressed. All those kinds of signs are kind of starting to add up and I'm feeling it. But nothing really to complain about. Not nearly as bad as some of the first preps you go through where everything is just a whirlwind of fatigue, pain, hunger. So nothing compared to some of my first go rounds, but we're definitely ahead of the game, which is a good spot to be in. It's a good problem to have. So the only concern I have is what happens if I'm ready 6 weeks out. That's pretty hard to hold a lean physique and keep it looking fresh and keep it looking, competitive and staying kind of on the drier side and not letting things get out of hand or letting hunger build up, fatigue build up. You don't want to be holding on while redlining the body for 6 weeks, 5 weeks, or 4 if you don't have to. But nonetheless, we'll just kind of take our time, get into shape. First step is get all the body fat off, which we're almost there. Not completely there. Still got some areas I'll show you in some of my progress photos of where what I need to keep attacking, but it's all going smooth. I'm super happy with where I'm at right now. Kind of working on posing currently, kind of putting together a routine, and but first things first, get lean, get conditioned, and then hopefully we can dial up the food and use a little bit of a few different tactics to try to just fill me out while holding that conditioning, and then get ready for peak week when that time comes around. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen with some notes I kind of have here. We'll go through some of the basics first. So let's move this right there. So kind of my stats, where we started at the beginning of show prep, about 20 weeks out. I planned like a 16-week prep, but at 20 weeks, we kind of start cleaning up things. And what we mean by that is just kind of clean up the diet, take it easy on some of the cheat meals, get them a little bit more acceptable. Even though that's not really me, I'm quite the robot. I don't tend to eat, I haven't had pizza in years. I haven't had, tubs of ice cream in years, cookies, shit like that. My version of a cheat meal is like some clean sushi, or like kind of like my coach Paul. He's always said that he just loves having a unmeasured steak, nice big T-bone or ribeye, whatever you really feel like, a loaded potato, and throw a pat of butter on it and call it a day. And that sometimes is very simple, but it hits the spot. And getting some of those fattier meats just really kind of feel gratifying to the body for sure. So that's a tactic I've done. Sushi. Let me think. Sometimes I might do something like a healthy ice cream version. Like, we've all tried like the Halo Tops, or I don't know how familiar you are with Nick's ice cream. That's something that a little higher in fat, but calories are still low. You're talking 300 calories for a pint of ice cream that I think tastes great with all different options of flavors. So once in a while, I think I've had a couple of those over the past year, but that's really it. I might just actually do the opposite of a cheat meal. I might just stay on plan and not even pull out the scale for that meal and just eat whatever I feel looks satisfying for portions. Like in the off season, we push really hard, and you get sick of food. So sometimes I'll just my cheat meal will be kind of take it easy. Just have probably undereat. But for show prep, I have to be really jonesing for something to have a cheat meal. I've done a few times where I've done like a pound steak. So probably it's probably like a 2-pound steak, but after you take the T-bone out, trim some of the fat, maybe a pound, 16 ounces of actual, ribeye meat, T-bone meat, is kind of my thing. But 20 weeks ago, we were starting, 20 weeks out from the show, when we started cleaning up at the peak of my off season, I was weighing at 240 on May 5th. I think the highest I got to is 245. And it was a pretty decently clean physique, still had abs, still had some cuts in my legs, but softer, and a little bit of a wetter physique. And then by the time we really kind of started prep 18, 17 weeks out, I was like 228, 225 range, dropping some of that water weight immediately by just switching up a diet, implementing a small portion of cardio back in, really just cleaned up the water weight and let that drop off of me, which was very relieving as well. Right now, August 6th, 8 weeks out, I'm sitting at about 207, 208 range. This morning I was 207.4. So we're in pretty good shape. Definitely getting small, but we'll fill out, and hopefully that scale weight looks a little bit more appealing, even though it means jack shit. But overall, I feel great. Some of my health metrics, just the basic stuff. Blood pressure's been in range. I do use telmisartan, pretty low dose, 40 milligrams. Take that at night. And I check my blood pressure in the morning with breakfast, right before my first meal. Sometimes I'm actually doing it after my cardio, where my blood pressure you would assume would be a little bit raised from the cardio. But it sits in a good spot. This morning I was 115 over 71. I don't think I've really been over 125 over 85 or 90, I would say, in quite a while. So a lot of this extra cardio just really helps as well, with the heart health and the blood pressure. My blood glucose is averaging about 85. That's always in a good spot. I'm very fortunate and blessed to have a very functioning pancreas that seems to handle all the carbs and sugar that I ingest. especially to the extreme amounts on some of my high days, which could be 1,000 to 1,200 grams of carbohydrates. The next day I'm waking up and I'm still well under 100 for my blood glucose levels. So that's good. But overall, feeling good. Sleep is really good for prep, to be honest. I sleep solid. Now that we're kind of losing, obviously losing body fat and water weight's kind of dropped, I don't have any back pumps. I don't have any snoring, which my wife is happy about. And I definitely don't feel lethargic like you do in the off season, kind of slow, sluggish feeling from just eating and lifting and being a lazy fuck by trying not to do much because you're trying to accumulate calories. You're trying to put on size. So I'm in a pretty good spot. I feel great. Overall, I'm happy about just about everything. Had a few tough days, but that's bound to happen. In training, it's still gold. I'm still hitting some PRs in other areas not as much. Like kind of on my leg days, on my quads and hamstring workouts, I've purposefully lowered the weight and just strived for a little bit extra higher reps, because I'm just trying to load as much of the carbs that I am eating into the muscle, get good performance. In the higher rep range, you could argue does burn a little more energy, but then again, heavy weights at a little lower rep range is a lot of energy that's exerted as well. So I think people get caught up in the weeds switching their training around to like supersetting on prep. The reality is get good training, stimulate the muscle so you can retain the muscle in a deficit. That's the goal. So don't get lost. Cardio is still the same. We haven't switched anything. Cardio's basically been in 30 total minutes per day. Paul originally kind of set it for 10 minutes fasted just to get me up and going in the morning, and then 20 minutes after my workout. I just tend to wake up and I really actually enjoy the meditation of cardio. So I get up early in the morning, have my coffee, and watch the sun come out over the lake behind my house. And I'm just starting the treadmill, and I'll do 30 minutes and just kind of enjoy peaceful, quiet morning, read a few emails or watch a few podcasts, just really kind of zone out and get in my own head in a positive way, set my day straight. And then I take a shower, eat breakfast, and I actually feel super good. I'm ready for the day. And I already got 4,000 or 5,000 steps in. My step goal for the day is 10,000. I usually blow past that. In the 12,000 to 15,000 is probably that average. Some days a little more. Some days I'm just getting over 10,000 because I might be stuck at my desk. But training styles but still been the same too. Anyone that's seen my training or my clients, the way that we program them, we're really not high weight, high intensity trainers. I mean, we're high intensity in the effort we put in, but not necessarily on the weight metric. I prefer higher volume, progressing my volume over 6-week training blocks or more for some people, depends on the scenario, and just escalating volume over time, numbers of sets week by week, and staying within a rep range that's high. So what do I mean by high? 10 to 20 on almost every movement. Some are going to be on that higher range, like you would think biceps, triceps, smaller muscles, delts, a lot of those delt raises from the sides. I'm looking for like 15 to 20 reps, or maybe a leg press or a belt squat or heavier movement for maybe a back, like a T-bar row. I'm really aiming for 10 to 12, 10 to 15. So always 10 minimum. If I can do 20 or more, I think we need more weight. So that's where we're at for just kind of the basics of the stats. So let's jump into taking a quick look at just some pictures so you guys can get a visual of where I'm at. So we'll start with, this is the off season, that 240 range. So you can see obviously a soft, fluffy look. Not too disappointed with it. Honestly, it was a pretty good off season, very productive. I was very happy with the work that I put in. So here's another one from front double. You still see there's some outlines of the abs in here. So I'm happy about that. If I can figure out how to use my mouse, definitely built up more sweep on my quads for sure. It's kind of funny. You can notice that my right leg for some reason tends to be a little different shape and size than my left. The only thing I have similar to Hadi Chupan, little front lat spread, quarter turn. You see a nice fat ass right here, but overall the shapes developed, the muscles engorged with carbs. Pretty happy with this off season. So again, this is the start of the prep at that 20-week out mark, that 240-pound range. And I was happy with where I was starting. Now we're at the current. This is about, again, that 207, 210 range. I'd say dry in the morning, like 207 range. So this is current. This is from this weekend for Sunday with check-ins with Paul. But you can see definitely, the waist is cleaned up. The abs are coming through. Leg definition is definitely improving. For some reason, I look pissed as fuck. But I'm flat as a pancake. As happens to prep, you got to get flat to burn the fat, as Justin Harris has always famously said, and I truly believe that's the way you need to look at it. So then we got front double bicep, and you can see the hip flexors getting more definition. Just deeper cuts. We're still not there by any means, but it's a good start. You can see a little bit of detail in the serratus, and but just flat. So I always hate looking at pictures knowing I'm not that deflated when I'm well properly fed, but it's part of the process. I've been adjusting my posing on this shot. I used to really keep my hands pretty high, I guess, maybe just under the rib cage here would be where my index point, index finger knuckle would kind of sit under. I've been kind of experimenting with putting it a little bit lower, a few inches, so I can kind of push that waist in, just create more of a taper. But I think I'm actually starting to like this way better than having it up high. It looks a little bunched up and not as clean when I do that. But I have, unfortunately, high lat inserts. I really don't have low inserts like you see on some guys. So I got a lot of space to fill in. So I'm giving up that space, showing a lot of open space by posing this way, but I think it accentuates my shape, and I like that. But you can see the teardrops coming in, just a lot of good definition is starting to develop. Quarter turn looking much cleaner, but you can see obviously this area is a good spot to point out. As you can see right here on my back, lower back that goes into the glute, this needs to be dug out. So we still got plenty of fat here. You got it on the hamstring glute tie-in, and you can see it much better here, the back fat. So basically mid back, a film up top, but mid back to the whole posterior chain just needs to get cleaned up quite a bit for body fat. But then as you go lower, you can see the hamstrings are kind of getting leaner. So I just kind of have as most guys, the bulk of the fat sitting in this kind of hormonal spot of the love handles and the back fat. But it's improving, much better. And then here's just a few comparisons of current versus that off-season start. So definitely improvements. Happy with being much denser. The judging feedback is they wanted me to bring my legs up and widen my back. And I think that was exactly what I focused on and exactly what I got. So I'm definitely happy about that. But you can see a big difference on the quarter turn of how much weight was dropped. It's still a lot of muscle underneath there. You got to remember I'm full as a house over here, flat as a pancake. So show day, obviously, we're hoping to have more pop, a harder look, but you can see some cuts on the side leg coming in. I will have some striations in the glutes here that will eventually come in as usual. But it's getting cleaner, much cleaner. Abductors, for some reason, always grow quite well on me. And some of the most muscular shots you can see are just getting crisper, for sure. So there's some of those pictures. How do we get back? Dave's not much of a computer guy. Let's just jump into the fun part everybody likes, PEDs, right? Everybody likes talking drugs as if it's super important. It is important, but it's not as important as everyone makes it out to be. I truly find diet to be the most important thing. That's 70% of your results, minimum. 70% minimum is your result. Then training is the stimulus needed to facilitate this whole process. But after that, of course, performance enhancing drugs are just that. They enhance. They don't create. They are just part of the recipe. So I'll chalk up 10 to 15% of progress from your actual cycle protocols. But last time we were running higher tests, Paul wanted to talk to me about dropping the test down to just a gram. And then we ended up doing, instead of a gram of Primo in like 1250, I think it was for tests, we went down to 1,000 tests, 700 Primo and 700 Mastron we added in. So we got a 1,400 total drug load here on the DHTs and a gram on the testosterone, given 2,400 milligrams, 2.4 gram total at the moment. So still 8 weeks out, pretty low, no trend, no other crap, nothing that's going to make me feel bad. Bottle of growth a day. I know some people are going to say, holy shit, that's a lot. Well, it's what I can afford, and it's been basically once I get past like 5 units, I start to see really good results. So the way I break that up actually is I'll do 2.5 units in the morning, just out of simplicity. So I'll do a quarter of the slim pin, then I fill up the bottle, a quarter of it in the morning before cardio. I do that intramuscularly so it can enter the bloodstream very quickly. I'm usually injecting, and then probably 25 minutes after I drink my black coffee, and kind of sit around and wake my ass up, I get on the actual treadmill. And then we do 2.5 units around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock before training, pre-workout. And then I do the rest of it, the 5 other units at bedtime, right before bed. And that's definitely been helping with recovery. I sleep well. I don't have any carpal tunnel issues, any numbness. Again, as you've seen before in my statistics I was showing you of general health, my blood sugar's in line, and I really don't use any insulin. I haven't used it on this prep since yet. So that's great. So it seems to not give much of an issue with blood sugar, being, blood sugar in my, with the growth hormone use. You got to think that HGH kind of liberates some of these nutrients into the bloodstream. So just as much as it's the growth hormone is kind of liberating also a lot of fats and some of the sugars that float around in my bloodstream, so it can continue to stay elevated for like glucose readings. So for some reason I'm lucky, my pancreas just keeps up and haven't had to take over this process with any insulin. Though I do use glucose disposal agents, which I'll just zoom down to the bottom real quick, or maybe I didn't put it in the chart here. But nonetheless, I'm using about 1,000 milligrams of metformin and 1,500 milligrams of the suppressor max from First Attachment, for 1,500 milligrams of berberine HCl. And those two things, metformin comes and goes throughout the year with me. If appetite becomes a problem, I take it out because metformin can suppress my appetite. But on prep, I might put in 500 if I'm starting to get a little hungry. It helps. And it also helps with that glucose disposal, keeping healthy glucose levels in range for me. But we got no orals yet. 8 weeks out, still no Anavar, no Winnie, no nothing, no oral anabolic. 0.5 milligram a day for my AIs excuse me, actually, this is wrong. I used to be doing Aromadex. I was doing 0.5 milligram. I'm actually doing 10 milligrams of Aromacin, which is pretty much comparable in strength and purpose. And I'm doing that every day. And that's going to continue to kind of push my estrogen down and help get that drier, more harder look. But it does suck because anyone knows as you get closer to the show, having low estrogen just fucking sucks. It feels like shit. And then I don't do this every morning, but I will, if I want a little extra stimulants in the morning, I will take literally just one go pill from First Attachment, the fat burner. It's excellent. It's 200 milligrams of caffeine and I think 2.5 actually yohimbine, however the hell you want to pronounce it. But I just take one cap and that does the trick to kind of give me a little stimulant, as well as my black coffee. And then I hit the cardio, might take a little bit of kratom, and I'm just ready to rock and roll in the morning, ready to start my day. So overall, this is a pretty low drug load, I think, for prep, someone at my size. And I think it's just kind of nice not having to throw the kitchen sink at things at this moment. I feel clean. I feel refreshed. I don't feel drugged out. I don't feel toxic. I fucking hate Tren, to be honest. So I'm not looking forward to using it. If I have to, if I can get away with it like my coach Paul did this year without using it, I'm going to be thrilled, because I'm really want to keep my sleep in a good spot. And then let's sum things up with the diet. So the only thing that has changed since I last showed you guys the diet was Paul actually implemented a higher high day. So I was like 890 carbs. We just went up to just under 1,000 at 950. And I haven't exercised this cheat meal. But my typical training days, 250 carbs total for the day, 260 protein, and 28 in added fats. And this is actually not so bad. It's very low food for me, but it's not bad. I'm getting carbs in every meal. I'm happy about that. 25 carbs sounds really low, and it is. But having 40 grams of dry oats, which, half a cup of oatmeal in the morning is better than nothing. And it's satisfying. Throw a couple blueberries on top, have myself some egg whites for my protein and fill up on that. Maybe a half a scoop of powder or make a protein pancake. And then throwing 7 grams of added fat from like nut butters or churro butter, which I gave you guys the code for before, from ilovepapabear.com. Eat Papa Bear on Instagram. That stuff is gold, and I look forward to my pancake in the morning with a little oatmeal and berries and some nut butter. Does the trick. So what I'm getting to is I don't feel starving, even though this is low food. 50 pre-workout for carbs, 75 post, and that's about it. 150 grams per meal of carbs throughout the high day. Again, Paul always lowers, which I agree with, lowering the protein on those days just to get the food down easier, give digestion a little bit of a break from digesting all the protein all the time. But also, carbs are protein sparing nutrients, so we just don't need as much, but still getting plenty. 200 grams of protein's enough. In my low days can get a little rough, but they're not that bad. So when it says 10 grams of carbs, that's actually carb free. It just means vegetables or some berries. And then 10 grams of added fat, 40 grams of protein across the board. So pretty simple diet. So not much adjustments. I haven't had to do much. The body fat is just peeling off of me. I'm one of those that the second you pull food out, it just starts dropping. I used to have to take a lot of effort, years ago in my drinking days when I would try to whip myself into shape and sober up. It would take me a little bit when it came to the amount of effort, cardio, hard dieting to get myself to actually lipolyze fat and burn through it as energy. But now it seems like I got my metabolism cranking. I've got training and everything in my recovery into a good position, and my PD protocol just seems to flow pretty well, where when it comes time to drop body fat, it just starts coming off, and it's very small increments and changes that I have to implement to get myself, if I hit a plateau, to keep the ball rolling. So something like, we wouldn't double cardio off the bat. If I hit a wall tomorrow, it would probably add 10 minutes of cardio, maybe a little bit more steps on my step count, and just see where it goes from there. And usually that's all it takes to get the ball rolling again. So, but overall, so far, good prep. We'll see what ends up coming of it, how we look when show day comes around. You can look great during prep, but it all depends on how you step on stage. So we're early to the party, so that's good. But again, I think if my advice to someone in my position would be, just worry about finishing step one, which is get the body fat off and retain muscle. That's your goal. That's your job in a prep, first and foremost. After that, you can worry about peak. You can worry about how full I am. And all along the whole time, you're kind of working on your posing, which is your presentation. You have to present yourself well. So I have been doing a lot of that. I haven't really strung together a routine yet, but my mandatories are on point. I know I hit them well, and I'm comfortable in them. I won't get winded on stage. I'm pretty sure I won't be sweating. Who knows? I'll do my best, but being conditioned for that and practicing that can help when it comes to the sweating on stage, of course, and just being dry and peaked correctly helps. But I will start putting together a routine of what I want. I'm just kind of been free balling and freestyling a lot of my posing and just kind of enjoying it at the moment. So, but nonetheless, appreciate it. This was a quick one. Just wanted to give you guys an update for those that are interested. But give us a like, give us a follow. Tell me what you think about what I'm up to in the comments below. Tell me if you think my prep sucks, I look like shit. Let me know. I could care less. If you think it looks good and you think everything's going together, or you got questions, drop them right in there. So appreciate you guys watching. Grip it and rip it. See you guys next time.